Hello and welcome back to Curiosity Mine, and welcome back as well to OPALWORDS, the series where we look at the vernacular and terminology of the opal fields and the opal industry, particularly at the opal mines at Lightning Ridge, New South Wales, Australia. This time we're going to have a look at a couple of terms around the size of opals. I spoke with Vicki at Earth Opals about a couple of Lightning Ridge terms for really small pieces of opal.
So one of the ways opal is formed is in a knobby, which is a round nodular formation, and these little ones are tiny pea nobbies, the size of a pea, or various sizes of various peas depending on what country you buy your peas from. But you can see here, that's a cute one, and pea nobbies often have the most beautiful colour on the inside. Just the only problem is they're so small that when you're grinding them down, you do grind your fingers off. But that's okay, it's worth it, because from a pea nobby you get beautiful what we call pointers. So a pointer with gemstones is a stone that weighs under 1 carat. So it can be 0.10, which is pretty tiny, or half a carat, 0.5, 0.4, point anything. I don't think I've seen a 0.0 something, but I have sold a 0.10 for $20 and it had colour. I pity the person that cut that stone, it wasn't me. And what we do with them, they're so small, but we only cut the bright ones, and you'll see some gorgeous bright pointers sitting in front of me in various colours, blues, greens, red, crystal opal, white opal, black opal, all types. If it's bright enough, we'll cut any size. And they're quite saleable. If you can't afford a big blue-green or a big red-on-black, then you'll go a pointer with the same brightness of colour at a fraction of the price, and you can set it into beautiful jewellery. So I've got some pointers here where you can have it set, so often in a claw setting with a ring or a pendant. Because the stone is small, it's very bright, but if we put a bezel around it, you will cover a lot of the stone, of course, because it is small. So we often set them in a claw setting to expose all the beautiful colour in the pointer. And that's a lovely little 18 carat yellow gold claw set pointer ring.
So pea nobbies are naturally forming tiny nobbies that might contain opal, but there's another term for tiny pieces of opal that aren't necessarily naturally formed that way. These are chips, which are tiny pieces of rough opal. Sometimes chips are just really small pieces of opal, not necessarily pea nobbies, just tiny pieces. Other times chips might be the result of breaking nobbies apart to find out whether there's gem opal inside. One of the old school methods of processing rough opal is to use tile cutters, or what we generally call snips, to carefully bite away at the edges of a knobby in order to hopefully find the colour bar inside. The bits that get cut off in the process would also be called chips, and they might also contain some of the opal if you're not careful. A lot of people still use snips to explore opal. Tile cutters are a pretty standard part of the prospecting toolkit, but any serious processing of opal is generally done on an abrasive lapidary wheel these days. Opal chips don't generally have a lot of retail value, not in the sense of the value of gem opal anyway, but what usually happens with chips is that the brightest ones will be picked out and put into little jars called chip bottles and sold to tourists, either as a sample or a specimen of opal, or maybe as something that a tourist can take home and tip out and sort through themselves, because maybe they'll find a tiny gem in there. This video was made with the help of Earth Opals at Lightning Ridge, with special thanks to Vicki. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Curiosity Mine on YouTube and following along on all of the usual social media channels. And thank you for watching.